No. If you're struggling with self-sabotage and you don't know where to start, here, right here on this podcast, we're building for you. I want to remind you, breaking self-sabotage patterns takes time. You've been operating like this for years, every decade, like hours. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small wins. We're building a community of people committed to breaking these cycles. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome again to Terror to Triumph. I am Alfonso, the creator of Terror to Triumph, and with me is my lovely co-host over here, Storm.
Hello.
Okay, Storm, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Oh my, we're having some technical difficulties with Storm's mic. Somehow we're not getting her audio. Okay. You know, we have technical difficulties, everybody. We appreciate you for chiming in, still listening regardless. So I'm hoping, as you can see, I'm doing stuff in the background. I'm trying to make sure I could get her in here to work. She might be out for a second, and I'm going to take her out the studio and then bring her right back in. Let's try this again. Storm, can you say something for us?
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Ah, there she go. Okay, we can hear you now. All right, all right. I might have to turn the volume up on you just a little bit because we can't have you sounding low. We need you up high.
Yes.
Okay, do a sound check for me right quick.
All right. Hello, everybody. How you doing this morning?
Okay, well, people, you know we are live. You can chime in and ask us questions, talk to us. We can see your comments on Facebook and YouTube live, okay? Whenever we're live like this video broadcast, you can ask us questions and interact with us by texting in your comments. So do us a favor, like, share, subscribe, and check us out on our podcast. We're on most major podcast platforms. Support the show by going over to www.healthemporium.com and peruse and purchase some items that have the branded logo on them, and that goes to support this podcast so we can continue the conversations to reach out to survivors that need the help. Okay, I know I said all that, but we are going into another session. This session is going to deal with when the denier we've been talking about for the past couple episodes about denial.
Yes.
The first one was, how do you interact with someone who's in denial? The second one is ongoing, actually, saving that for Tuesdays, but is talking about how to love someone who's in denial still. And today we're talking about when the denier is you. That's right. Because any one of us can be in denial about our trauma, and trauma can come from anything. So we have to be aware of our own actions, our bodies, our responses to figure out what's going on. So here's what I want to say. It's okay. You're not broken. You're just protecting yourself. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
denial keeps you stuck. You can't get outside of the box that you're in. There's some signs that tells that let you know that you might be in denial. Okay. And they
Yes.
are when you say, "Oh, I'm fine," but you're struggling in your relationships or in solitude.
Mm-hmm.
You minimize what's happened to you. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not that important. Other people got it worse than me. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
bad. Yeah. You get angry when people suggest you need help. Maybe you should go see somebody to help you with that. I don't need to see nobody. Hmm. That might be a key to yourself. Have you ever done that to somebody? If you have, you might be in denial. When you're self sabotaging without realizing it, now that's kind of a difficult one because if you're self sabotaging and you don't realize you're doing it, then you don't know you're doing it. But the red flags to self sabotage is when in a relationship, your partner tells you, "You keep doing this. It's hurting me. I don't understand. Why are you acting like this? You keep doing this." If they keep telling you that, something's going on with you. You can't keep putting
Mm-hmm.
the blame on everybody else. Sometimes you got to be introspective. You got to look inward. You got to say, okay, they can't be saying this all the time and it's always them. Maybe there might be some truth to what they're saying. You got to start looking inward. But if you're in denial, you're not going to look inward. You're going to put the blame on them and say, "You tripping," or "It's not that big of a deal." I did that when I was in denial. I did that in my marriage. One of the major reasons the marriage collapsed because I was in denial. Okay, you're numb and disconnected. And when you're numb and disconnected, you do not socially or emotionally engage. Do you know what it's like to be in a relationship with a person who can't connect to you emotionally? I've been there. But for a survivor that's in a relationship that is numb, they're not going to understand that they're in denial because the numbingness is taking that effect of empathy out of the equation. You're not going to recognize it. You're just going to be going through the motions. So you could also be using substances or behaviors to cope. Substances, I was using marijuana, and my behaviors was mainly fawning. Fawning is a behavior where you try to be appeasing to everyone around you because you do not want to activate conflict. That was me. And then lastly, you're repeating unhealthy patterns. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I discussed earlier, I kept doing something. My ex wife kept saying, "Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep doing it?" Why? And the first couple times I blew it off, honestly, I was like, she over exaggerate. She tripping, But it's okay. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
guess I get it. It kind of makes sense, but I kind of felt like I had to do stuff because I needed to feel better about my situation. That was two mechanisms. I'm self sabotaging I'm deflecting in denial. And actually, I was buying things that I really didn't need. So I was trying to do, well, I was impulsive buying to make myself feel better. So that was some stuff that was really messed up that I was doing. But that was all trauma responses. That wasn't from my heart, because of my heart, I didn't want to hurt her. But the fact of the matter is, she got hurt. And my denial kept me from understanding that. It wasn't until the end when I started realizing, hey, there's something wrong and I need to address it. And it was too late for the relationship. It was too late for the marriage at that point. But the reality of it is, denial can hurt you more so than you're thinking that avoiding confronting what's going on with you will. Okay. If any of these resonate, you might look at your denial. Maybe it's time to look at it. I mean, you got to be real with yourself. Here's the beautiful part. Admitting your trauma isn't a weakness. It's the first step to your freedom. Storm, why don't you go ahead with the next part?
What helps? Find a safe person to talk to. Start therapy. Read books about trauma. Listen to podcasts like this one. Join support groups. Be honest with yourself about what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to be willing to look at it. And when you do, everything changes.
Well, Storm, have you ever been in denial about your own trauma? I saw you raise
I
your hand a
can't,
couple times.
yeah. It's not the denial part, it's being numb about the situation before, yeah, I can say I was in denial before I got therapy. I was very in denial. I didn't want nobody to know. I wasn't ready to open up. I wasn't ready to talk, so I was just numb. It's That's just how it is. You're numb and you learn how to just cut off your emotions. And when you get hurt so many times because it was trauma after trauma with the different relationships. So you learn how to be numb and that love or that caring or that touch.
Mhm.
I didn't want to really hold hands or cuddle or nothing. I really didn't. I wanted the relationship, but I just didn't want some of the different packages that went along with the relationship. You know,
Right.
the
Mhm.
intimacy part, I didn't want the intimacy part of the relationship, but I just wanted to say, oh, yeah, I have somebody, but I didn't want the intimacy part of the relationship. And that was an unhealthy pattern for me because I didn't want it because of what I had been through, which everybody's trauma is different. I had been through SA trauma. So I didn't want the intimacy part of the relationship. I wanted the relationship.
See, that that makes a lot of sense. I mean, people who have suffered, all trauma is severe, but repeated trauma, it makes you withdraw internally and externally. So what you were doing, your numbness was a safety mechanism so you couldn't feel any more emotional distress.
Yes.
So mm, it would be hard for a person who was in a relationship to convey emotion to you at that point, because even though they may be conveying it, they're not receiving. There would be no receiving. And that defense mechanism that our nervous system has conjured up has taken things mentally and made it to where when we're in certain situations that we block people out. So yeah, that denial from numbing, how can I put it? Numbingness? Am I conjuring up a new word here? But
Yeah, it was very numb, and it was very like irritating to the other person because I even had a time limit. Like, you got 15 minutes and that's it. And whatever you don't get in 15 minutes, you won't get it, you know? And I know that that was wrong of me, but that's
you
how I
still want
was.
intimacy, right?
Yes, but you have 15
Mhm.
minutes and it's like hurry up, and I didn't show no affection or no nothing because of what I went through, during my SA. So how do you show
Mhm.
emotion when you kind of like still be thinking of that intimacy as, that until I got help with, the trauma. I was like, like just hurry up. And when it was over with, I didn't want to cuddle. I turned my back,
Mm.
and I didn't want to do anything. It's real, y'all. It's very real.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I've actually dated a few women who had that response. They actually were disconnecting during intimacy. And then afterwards, they wasn't trying to hug, cuddle, nothing. It was like, no. In the middle of it, during, there was a disconnect then too.
Hmm.
So that was probably what you have told us about that experience. I experienced it from the other side. Okay. Now, as a man, as far as intimacy is concerned, my portion came in before intimacy even began because I was essayed by my mother. So now I always have this reservation like I don't want to even get close intimate in intimacy or intimate situations. Like it makes me extremely nervous.
Hmm.
And that creates performance issues, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Is not the person themselves, but it's the situation of being close to someone, vulnerable to someone to that degree. And that's a situation I have not dealt with yet. Hopefully me and my therapist can get into that sometime soon. But in reality, this thing, denial, not allowing yourself to face the trauma that you are or have been through, which is creating a ripple effect throughout your entire life. And you're not capable of stopping it on your own because you're not aware that it's happening most of the times. I mean, people you'll take it as people are attacking you rather than people are saying, "Hey, you're hurting me." And that's the God-given truth. And I mean, you got me and Storm right here. We're victims and we're telling you this is how it works. So if you're in a situation where you're with somebody, say a woman is with a guy who has been essayed as a child and they're having intimacy issues, it might be because of that. And they don't want to admit it, they don't want to address it. They're taking pills, ecstasy or Viagra and stuff like that, thinking, maybe, I'm just an older guy, or, I don't know, I got ED, something wrong with me. But you haven't addressed the core issue. You were SA'd, and now mentally you have problems with intimacy. And you need to get that taken care of before you can actually be intimate with somebody and have a good session.
And the be, to chime in on that, it was still happening even after therapy. I'm not gonna lie, it was still happening, and until I got with, I would say, my late husband, which is no longer here. That's when I learned how to be loved and affectionate, because he was like, "No, it's okay. You can lay on me." And I'm like, "No, I just want to turn my back." And he was like, "No, you can do this." So I had to be coached into it and, pulled into it. And I started to, okay, this is what it's supposed to be. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is beautiful." But, you know, it was
Mm.
hard. I'm not going to lie, people, because I was still doing it. I was still turning my back. And until he say, "It's okay. It's gonna be okay." He didn't know that that was part of my trauma, but he coached me into something without knowing that he was helping me, and he helped me without knowing that he was helping me.
See, there can be some good stories out there, for people who are willing to put in the work to be with somebody who has suffered childhood trauma. You can have a successful relationship, but it takes two. First, the person who is the survivor has to admit to themselves, hey, something did happen to me and I need to address this situation before, you know, something else happens. And the other person has to realize that they have to give the person they're with time. You can't rush them. You can't force. You
Yes.
going to see a therapist. You can't do that because then survivors will turn the other way and run. We will not stay in a situation where we feel like we're being cornered or we're given ultimatums. It'll make us shut down and run. So I'm telling you this, people, from experience. And I'm sure Storm is too. We're survivors and we're giving you this information to let you know you're not alone in this situation.
Hmm.
We've experienced it and we're here to tell you about it, to talk to you about it. Okay. Another thing is, um, like for Storm, her turning point was when her late husband started being softer and encouraging her, but not forcing her. He was being gentle and he was being patient. These are the things that will help a survivor unwind and unlock from the trauma. If you give them a safe place that they know that they can come to and they can start to feel safe and comfortable, then they will open up slowly, but they will. And they'll eventually let you in, but you can't rush it. It's not something I've seen. I've seen on some dating sites women say, if you're on here and you don't plan to be married in 90 days, don't click on me. I'm like, really? You want to be married in 90 days? Do you put a time limit from a person who's a stranger right now? You saying, let's get married in 90 days. Let's do it. Okay, I don't know. It take a minute to learn a person, to understand a person, and it takes a lot more than 90 days to do that. So I wonder, what that was about. That's a whole different issue, but for a trauma survivor, that would be like, oh hell no, I'm not even trying to get close to that shit. You on some other stuff. I'm going this way. You can stay that way, and I'm swiping. It's a big X, red X. That's all I'm seeing. So when you're in a dating scene, you might come across people who are survivors out here. More than likely,
Hmm.
you will, because of the statistics. Out of every 10 people, 4 to 6 have suffered some form of trauma, childhood trauma. be it physical, sexual, mental, verbal. Somebody has experienced it, and you know more than 10 people. So those numbers go up exponentially. And plus, the number in the statistic is diminished because most survivors don't report. So you have a lot of people around you that have suffered. More than likely,
Yes.
you're talking to a lot of them
Yes,
all
I
throughout your
do.
day.
It's crazy because when I start opening up on my own platform, on TikTok, everyone, I found out that, like he said, it's more than the notion because the people that's on my panel, they all have suffered some form of trauma. And it has been SA or either domestic abuse.
Hmm. See, and that's what this show is about. Starting a
Hmm.
conversation. We have to start talking about it. We can no longer just say, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. Then you stay in denial, or you have an issue, but you don't want to talk about it because you feel shame or guilt. This is the platform for you to come, listen, and talk. Get it out there so you can get comfortable saying, okay, yeah, I've had this happen to me. Not to us. You don't necessarily have to air your stuff here on this platform, but you can get under terms with yourself to say, I need some help. I need some help. I know I'm doing these things. And now I can look back over my past relationships and see the red flags that I was presenting. And now I know, I caused these problems. I'm the one that need the help. And I used to think it was the other people. So now when you get this realization, okay, you can go and try to find some help. Down below, on this screen, we have a whole bunch of numbers, but now I've added a couple of websites at the end. Those websites can show you how to find a trauma informed therapist, a trauma therapist who has studied EMDR modalities, and you can find somebody that can help you. Those sites will direct you in the path. The other numbers are for anybody who is suffering child abuse, domestic violence, sexual abuse, human trafficking, all these things. We give out numbers constantly on this ticker tape on our show, stays on. It never cuts off because those numbers are very vital to anybody who might need those. I just wanted to point that out. But this week, I want you to be honest with yourself, okay? I want you to sit down, find some time, sit down, look back at your past relationships. Really take a good hard look and see what we're talking about. Were there red flags? These red flags present? Did you self-sabotage your relationships? Did you push people away? Were you in denial saying you don't need help? Even though you've been SA'd or PA'd or MA'd or any of those. And if you
Hmm.
know you have and you pushed it, but it might even be an issue where you didn't totally blocked it out of your mind, your memory. Like you don't even remember it because your mind won't let you come back to it. In those cases, recommend you go see a therapist. Absolutely, because I can't help you with that. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. But we're just here to fill the gap between trauma victim help. Okay? Because there wasn't anybody in between these two things. Well, now we're here and we're going to be here and we're going to keep broadcasting and we're going to keep reaching out. We're going to keep trying to help people as long as God lets us have air to breathe. We're reaching out. Okay? Join us Tuesday, Terror to Triumph Live, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and our YouTube channel, Terror to Triumph Live. Okay? Also, to support the podcast, go to pelsemporium.com. That's PELTSEMPORIUM.com and shop. those things that you purchase there goes to help fund this podcast. So also I want to give the platform over to Storm so she can tell you about her TikTok platform and the things that she's doing over there. So Storm, could you go ahead and talk about your platform?
You can follow me on TikTok at Diamanda, D-I apostrophe capital AMONDA, where I talk about trauma, I talk about healing, I talk about herbal medicines, and I also, make sure that you stretch your body out. Go through exercising at the beginning of my life to make sure that everybody stay healthy and in shape. So it's very important and vital, everybody, that you get in shape no matter what age, or what size you are, that you stay in shape because it's very healthy to the body, and that you get into your herbal medicine. And then we just talk about trauma and human trafficking, SA, and domestic violence, So, join me on TikTok. I'll be on there Monday through Friday from at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time and 8 o'clock Central Standard Time. So join me on TikTok, and that's all.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
So Terror to Triumph live on our YouTube channel. I want y'all guys to go over there and check it out. All the video broadcasts are aired there. Even the podcast is on YouTube, so you can go there to check it out. You can also head on over to terror2triumph.buzzsprout.com to listen to an audio podcast. We also on several podcast platforms like Castbox and iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast,
Yes.
Spotify, Deezer. It's just a lot. I don't want to go through the whole list, but if you are on a major platform, we're probably on it. So if you would go ahead and check out Terror to Triumph, TERROR, Terror to Triumph, on any of those podcast platforms that you may have, and check us out on those. And then you can hear our audio podcast. Well, we are out of time for today. Thank you for joining me and Storm. We
Yes.
appreciate all of your viewing. We love you. We wish you nothing but health and well being and a wonderful life. You can have this life, but you have to put in the work. As a survivor, Diamanda and I myself, Storm, and myself, we've put in work. We've struggled to try to get better, you know. And I applaud Storm. She's much further on her journey than I am. I just started seeing a therapist last year. So, but she's still on her journey, and I'm beginning my journey to healing. So if we can do it at our age, well, I don't know about her. I'm gonna just use me, my age. I'm not gonna put you out there like that, but my age, I'm 54 years old. If you can start at my age, then you can start at any age. Okay, it's not too late to seek help. It's not too late. It's never too late. So don't give up on yourself. We're not giving up on you,
Yeah, don't
and we're
give up.
here for you. What were you about to say?
Yes. Don't give up. Don't give up. I'm still going through at 54 too, so don't give up.
Mm. Ooh wee. So, before we go, next Saturday we're moving into a brand new episode, and it's about survivors in the world coping with unexpected triggers in public places. Okay, so you're not going to want to miss that one. You want to
Yes.
chime in and hear what we have to present to you on that show. That's Saturday, 10:30
Yeah.
Eastern Standard Time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, by the way. So,
Yes.
thank you for being here. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for listening. And we will see you Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. All right,
Okay.
everybody, have a blessed week. Be safe and think about it. Help is closer than you believe.